Good morning, TL Travelers, and welcome to or welcome back to the TL Travel YouTube channel. For those of you who might be new here, you are jumping in right at the very end of a road trip series across Canada. So if you have not seen the videos from that series, I will definitely link them down below and leave some up top for you as well so that you can check them out. I've been exploring across Canada for the last couple of months, but we just finished a road trip across from Southern Ontario to Edmonton, Alberta, and yeah, I'm here in this video to tell you guys all about it. If you want to do it too, I'm going to break down some costs and like important tips and tricks for you guys, and hopefully I don't forget any important tips. But if you have any questions about it, feel free to leave them in the comments below as always, and I will do everything I can to get back to you and answer them as quickly as possible. So if you have not already, be sure to hit that like button. It would really help me out, and hit that subscribe button because we post new travel content every Thursday and Sunday from all around the world. And in an attempt to keep this video rather short and to the point, let's just jump into it. So before we left, I did do a road trip planning video, and I will link that for you so you can check it out, and it has a little bit more detail as to what our road trip plan was, but I'm really just going to break it down for you guys who are new so that you know just like a rough idea of where we drove and why we drove there. So if you are someone who is looking into driving across Canada, you probably know that there's multiple ways that you can go. Two of the most popular routes are, the first one is to just stick within Canada completely, and the other is to cross into the United States. Personally, I have never done the drive through the States, and that is something that I still want to do. I feel like there are a lot of stops there that would be really interesting. You can stop in Badlands National Park, there is Glacier National Park, and then also like Mount Rushmore, and all of those sites and things are down there. The drive through the States is also a little bit more, I want to say, not as rough, I guess. From what I've heard, you would essentially be on a freeway most of the time. So if you're just looking for something that's like more comfortable and has those typical stops along the way, more gas stations and food options and all of that kind of stuff, then the US is a really great option. Again, from what I've heard, I've never done it. We stuck with Canada the entire way, mostly for two reasons. One, this was not my road trip to plan. This was something that my good friend Ian was already planning on doing, and he was driving out through Canada and then coming back through the States. So obviously he wanted to see different things and, you know, do that on the way back. You don't want to come back the exact same way that you came. So I was just hopping in on his trip, and I was happy to do that. The second reason is that I have a friend actually who is up at Lake of the Woods in Northern Ontario. He works at a fishing lodge up there. He's the head chef, and you know, invited us out to check out the lodge and enjoy some great food. So obviously we were gonna do that. So when it comes down to drive times, stops, gas prices, accommodation prices, and all of those things, this video is gonna focus on the Canadian only route, but just keep in mind that there is another option for you if you are interested. So to break it down, our route and drive times from start to finish were as follows. We started in Peterborough, Ontario, and we drove to Sault Ste. Marie. Sault Ste. Marie was our very first overnight stop, and that drive took 7 hours and 29 minutes. From Sault Ste. Marie to Thunder Bay was another 7.5 hour day, and then we went from Thunder Bay all the way up to Lake of the Woods. I say all the way, but that one was a mere 5.5 hour drive, so it actually ended up being a shorter day. And then we spent one day out on the lake, so we actually had a full day of no driving to just chill, relax, and enjoy our time. From Lake of the Woods to Winnipeg the next day, it was only a 2.5 hour drive, so again, it was a very leisurely day. We actually drove, ended up driving a lot because we drove around making a whole bunch of stops, and we were seeking out lakes and places to swim and all that kind of stuff. So it was a long day, but it was the kind of long day where we didn't really have anywhere that we had to be real quick. So it was like a good way to prepare for the final day's drive, which was from Winnipeg to Edmonton, and that drive time alone is about 13 hours and 40 minutes. So we did that in one swift, yeah, it was a long day. But the more that you look into this journey, the more that you will realize that there is a ton more to see in Ontario and Manitoba, and then as you get out of there and hit the plains, it's just like, I mean, there's not a ton of stops for you to make unless you want to veer off of the main highway, which of course we didn't want to do because we had, you know, places to be. So the way that Ian and I organized expenses for this trip was that he paid for the gas every time that we stopped for gas, and then I paid for accommodations every time that we stopped for the night, and then that just made it really easy at the end to figure out who owed who for what when we were like splitting up bills and everything like that. The gas situation, I will say, as you head further into Northern Ontario, gas not only gets more expensive, but it also gets more sparse. The gas stations are few and far between in a few areas, so you want to make sure that before you leave a destination, you know where upcoming gas stations are, and really just never leave a large city on empty. Essentially, we ended up filling up every single day once, with the exception obviously of our day on Lake of the Woods where we didn't have to fill up at all, and on our last day, our 13-hour day, where we did fill up twice. I will pop a list of our gas stops right here, but the total for all of our gas stops from Peterborough out to Edmonton was $643.39 Canadian. So for those of you who might be thinking that driving out would be a cheaper alternative to flying, that's not necessarily the case. But of course, if you give yourself time to do that drive and you're not just trying to get to your next destination, you're scheduling time for stops and you're stopping at some cool spots along the way, it's 100% worth it. Leading up to this trip, I'm not sure that I really understood just how many cool stops and sites there were to see in Northern Ontario, and as much as I know that I may not have the chance to go back and travel there very soon, I would love to go back and check out more of the cool, stuff up there, because there is a lot to stop. So if you have the time, it's 100% worth it. Accommodations for all of our trip ended up being $503.34, so only a little bit cheaper than gas. Obviously, you can camp and such along the way if weather allows, but just like with the gas, we found that the further north we got, the more expensive hotels were, and the more expensive they were for less. Like, your dollar definitely didn't go as far in the north as it would further south, but supply and demand, that's just the way that it is. So that's gonna be it for my recap for our road trip. We had a great time. Again, if you missed the videos, be sure to check them out. There were some great highlights, and I am just like so excited that I could share that with you. From here in Edmonton, we're gonna be traveling out to Banff and checking out the Icefields Parkway. We tried to do that last year as well, but we got real snowed in, so hopefully we can make that work this year. And yeah, I'm just gonna let you go here. So if you've not already, hit that subscribe button. Definitely do it, because we post new travel content every Thursday and Sunday. And until I see you guys in Banff, stay great, travel safe, and I'll see you then. Bye.